Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Minds and Money. Delighted to have with us today Bryce Bradley, who's a co-founding director, president, and chief executive officer of Thunderstruck Resources.
Oh,
Delighted
thank
to have you with us today,
you.
Bryce.
Thank you so much, Andrew. So nice to be here.
For those of you of us who don't know too much about Thunderstruck, can you tell us a little bit about the commodities that you're currently looking for?
Certainly, yeah, we're exploring for four main commodities. Zinc and copper are the base metals primarily, and precious metals, we're looking for gold and silver. All of it is in Fiji.
And the obvious follow-up question to that, why Fiji?
Yeah, so Fiji was not our natural jurisdiction when I co-founded this company a few years ago, because we're from Toronto and Vancouver, and we're traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange here. And Fiji is a fairly remote jurisdiction, but primarily because it's so remote, it's one of the last underexplored countries in the world, frankly, because it was in the not too distant past, very difficult to get to. And then also on the island, it didn't have full infrastructure and whatnot. But since that time, they have many mines and exploration plays there. So they've built up full roads around the island, full infrastructure, deep water port, a very mining friendly government. And as you probably know, Fiji is on the prolific Pacific Ring of Fire, on which there are dozens and dozens of very large mines, copper, gold, porphyries, and copper mines, so we hope to be one of the next ones.
And just as a follow-up question to that, what is Fiji like as a mining jurisdiction? What's it been like to deal with the national and local governments there?
Yeah, so because they've been mining for approximately almost 100 years, the local population, there's around 1 million people in Fiji. The local population were they were either employed or their family members were employed on this mine. And this mine employed up to still does employ up to 1,500 people. So and they also adhere. It used to be a British colony, so it adheres to British mining law. So they have a very sound mining act that they follow. Everything's above board, very legal, albeit because it is a third world country, somewhat slower than perhaps England would move in terms of gaining permits and landowner agreements. But everything is, they're very, very well versed in mining and the exploration game. And that's everybody from the landowners themselves right up through government. So it's been, relatively speaking, fairly easy to move into the country as a jurisdiction. And we have all of our landowner agreements in place. They do maximum 5-year in the country, 5-year landowner agreements, access compensation agreements, and 5-year exploration. They're called special prospecting licenses. So we have achieved the 5 years after they gain trust and they know that you're a good company and you do well and you spend money in the country advancing their assets. They then give you the maximum allowable licenses, which we now have, and then it rolls over for another 5.
Excellent to hear. So what's going to be the main focus of exploration this season?
Okay, so we have 4 properties. All of them are very high grade. 3 of them have been drilled on already in the past, the 2 base metals and our copper, gold, porphyry. But this year we plan on, and we are now just preparing for our first major drill program on our really high grade gold silver deposit. It's the only one that has not been drilled. And we've done extensive surface work, sampling, mapping, trenching, so just a bunch of kind of geophysics and geochem on it. We built a drill in Indonesia, brand new. It's on a ship. It's going to be here any day now. We've got everybody lined up. All the drill pads are ready. The camp is built. So now we just wait for the drill to arrive, which is imminent. That's going to be our main focus. If we have any time left over after this, I think we plan on doing, I believe it's 6 holes. I'm not sure, weather permitting, because the rainy season comes towards the end of the year, November, December. Weather permitting, we'll try to move the drill over to one of the other assets. So that's going to be the main focus. Everybody, our current shareholders have been waiting for this for a few years. Hiccups as you have, right? With the last few years have been interesting for everyone. But now we've got our act together, and it's a very good team. Like, it's almost an entirely local team. We try to employ as many Fijians as possible. So our office and our ground crew are entirely Fijian. We bring in our other management team, like myself. I just got back from Fiji, back in Toronto. I'll probably be heading back there in September, and our senior geologists are from Australia, so they'll be heading in as soon as the drillers arrive sometime this month.
And of course, like, looking at your website in preparation for this interview, one thing that strikes me is you've managed to really assemble a really high-class team. You've mentioned it, you've managed to attract great local talent, which is fantastic, but also a really good international team full of, like, I'm going to say 100+ years of expertise, but you're probably going to correct me and say it's 200+ years.
Yeah, I don't want to add up how old they all are, because they'd be angry with me. But we have my co-founding director is Brian London, and known him 20-something years, and he's out of New Orleans. He runs the New Orleans Investment Conference. He helped take this company public with me. He also writes Gold Newsletter, and he's been in the resource game for ages, investing and writing up resource companies, and of course running the conference. Great supporter. And all of our management advisors and our shareholders are retail. We don't have any institutions, so it's just been a few large players. Tookie Angus, who was chairman of Nevson at one point, and now K92, which is a copper gold mine out of Papua New Guinea. You could say next door to Fiji, but still really far away. $2,000 flight ticket, but still. And he's just serially successful. And we all, and the managers, like our insiders and management advisors, we have well over, geez, I don't know, 60-70%, I think, of the float. And so as it stands now, we don't have any, we have no institutions. We will at some point, if we get into like development stage, whatnot, have to start entertaining larger sums of money, but we're cashed up for the moment. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah,
which is excellent to hear. I mean, the fact that Brian Lundin is obviously sort of like one of the sort of founders of the company is like a massive sort of tick box as far as I'm concerned. But again, another like tick box as well is in terms of recent investors that you've acquired. I understand recently that Ian Gandel, the very famous Australian multimillionaire, came on board. How did that come about?
Well, actually, Andrew. Yes, actually, I met him. And maybe you know this already. I met him on your show. I don't know, but it was about 1.5 years ago. So it was during COVID. I was stuck in Fiji for well over 1 year because there's no flights, borders were closed, and I got a lot of work done there despite that. So, but we did your show for, I think we did something like 4 or 5 online because we couldn't be in person, and met him, I think it was January 2021. So he met with us several times. He hasn't invested in a large way in any other companies, so he says, outside of Australia. And as you may know, then he's serially successful as well with his own deals that he's taken from discovery right through to mines like ASM, Australia Strategic Materials, and Alkane. He recently took one private called Alliance. So we were more than excited to be able to have someone with his track record and his experience to come on board in a country that's relatively close to Fiji as well. So what he has brought, I mean, just as a starter, but what he has brought is a team of technical talent who are assisting us to get this to, certainly on this gold play right now, the Liwa gold silver asset, to assist us in drilling it properly and our next steps and spending our money wisely. They're also assisting us on what to do on the other assets. We have 2 VMS zinc copper assets. And we are planning to do some drilling, of course. They've delineated a drill target on our copper gold porphyry called Rama already. So, the team that they have brought on board, we have Pete Dwerden and Tony Leckland that were introduced to us through Ian, as well. Of course, Ian's capital markets experience and whatnot has just been invaluable. Yeah, it's been invaluable. So, I had not even met him until June, I think it was, or April of this year. So in person.
It's kind of like what I like about the fact with Thunderstruck is the fact that you've got on board both Brian and Ian, and it's not so much how much money they invest into the company, although that's obviously a very welcome thing. It's actually the knowledge that they bring. That to me is the real value add.
Oh, he is exactly what we needed, because we were weak. I mean, company always has, things that need to be improved upon, and we're technically weak. And we wanted some people out of Australia who could get to Fiji on a direct flight, right? Quickly, right? Toronto, when I go Toronto, LA to Fiji, it's 30 hours with the weights and the drives and everything. So, so being able to have someone in Australia, it took a long time for Brian and me to find someone, that, because we're not from there. We don't understand their markets and whatnot very well. So, yeah, he's definitely what we needed for the next step. And we can kind of cover North America. Our shareholder base is fairly international. We have quite a few shareholders out of India. We have a very large one out of Bangkok. And then the rest are mostly North American. Our VP of corporate development, Rob Crystal, who you've probably spoken to in the past, he started just as a shareholder. He had a great job elsewhere, and he just kept buying more and more shares of Thunderstruck to the point where he knew the story better than I did. And I said, if you ever want to leave your job, can you please come on over here and take over doing some of the interviews and conferences back when we could do conferences. So I'm so happy with our team right now.
And again, it's like another tick point as well, is the fact that your team are also quite heavy shareholders in your own a company. That's again of such a massive sort of tick box. If I was a potential investor, people that actually own their own company, that's always to me a really, really positive buying sign.
We pretty much come into every financing. We're not always in the market because for the main reason that we want to put money into the actual company. Our job, the way I view it, is our job is to advance the assets and find one or more mines in Fiji and be the first, and have first mover advantage on the island with any new prospects that might come up for exploration. And so we do try to come into the financings to further those efforts, as opposed to constantly just kind of buying and selling in the market, right? That doesn't help the company per se.
Well, Bryce, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you today. I'm so pleased that Thunderstruck Resources is doing well. So pleased with your, to hear about your drilling program and exploration program for 2022. Wishing you all the best and looking forward to seeing you at our August online event and hopefully at one of our in-person events somewhere down the track.
That's got to happen shortly. Bye. Nice to talk to you.